public harassment, racial profiling, and police brutality. Incidents like these seem to be far too common among law enforcement authorities than we like to think. The supposed protectors regularly disrespect and abuse their power over not just criminals and suspects, but completely innocent people. But there have been times when officers got caught and were made to face the consequences of their actions. Philip Larsheed, the former Police Officer of the Year of the DeKalb County, was indicted for allegedly assaulting a homeless woman with his baton. The incident occurred in 2017 when officers were called to a convenience store on Glenwood Road. They were responding to a complaint that a homeless woman was soliciting customers inside the store. When the police arrived, they found Katie McCrary, who they claimed was uncooperative and resisting their commands. Larsheed was the one who used his baton to try to restrain and arrest McCrary. He claimed that he was acting within the scope of his duties. At first, Larsheed was cleared of any wrongdoing in an internal investigation, but that all changed when a video of the incident surfaced on the internet. The video shows Larsheed repeatedly hitting McCrary with his baton while she lies helplessly on the floor kicking and trying to block the onslaught of blows. The video had such a huge effect that the DeKalb County Police Department was forced to reopen the case a month later. Larsheed was eventually indicted for aggravated assault and violation of oath of office. McCrary ended up being taken into custody and transported to the county jail where she was rejected because of her injuries. She was then sent to Gray Memorial Hospital for her treatment. McCrary had been arrested at least 7 times before in DeKalb, mostly for drug and prostitution charges. According to her relatives, she struggles with mental health issues. Attorney Glenda Hatchett, who represents McCrary, said her client continues to suffer both physical and extreme emotional trauma from this incident. The DeKalb County Police Department has said that although Larsheed did not lose his job, he's been on clerical duty since July 2017. Meanwhile, McCrary herself was charged with obstructing or hindering law enforcement officers. But the DA, Sherry Boston, said that her office doesn't plan to pursue the charges against McCrary in light of the investigation into Larsheed's actions. "I ran for district attorney because I wanted to let the community know that we're going to increase the trust within our community between law enforcement and people on the streets," said Boston in her statement.
All the evidence collected, we felt that we had enough evidence to present that to the grand jury.
The shocking incident unfolded on July 26, 2017, when an unconscious patient was brought into the Salt Lake City University Hospital in Utah. The 43-year-old unconscious man named William Gray was the victim of a deadly car crash in Cache County. Alex Wubbels, who had been a nurse in the hospital since 2009, was working in the burn unit when the patient was brought in. Little did she know that things were about to get ugly. When Detective Jeff Payne arrived at the hospital, he was looking to draw the patient's blood to check for any chemical substances in his system. He demanded that the nurse draw the sedated patient's blood in order for him to conduct an investigation, but Wubbels refused. Why? Well, because Officer Payne didn't have any warrant. Neither did the officer have the unconscious patient's consent, and nor was he under arrest. One of these 3 conditions needed to be fulfilled in order for the nurse to assist Payne. But the detective did not like this one bit. Payne then began to threaten Wubbels, saying he would arrest her if he didn't get the blood. The officer went so far as to accuse Miss Wubbels of interfering with a criminal investigation. "If I don't get the blood, I'm taking her to jail," Payne said. "I either go away with blood in vials or body in tow. That's my only 2 choices." Wubbels tried to reason with Payne, but he wouldn't listen. She even had her boss, Brad Wiggins, on speakerphone during her confrontation. Her boss warned Payne, saying, "Sir, you're making a huge mistake by threatening a nurse." But Officer Payne was in no mood to talk reason. He moved to take Miss Wubbels into custody. The situation escalated quickly. Wubbels was screaming and crying for help as she was pushed out of the hospital,
Stop! I said nothing wrong!
thrown up against a wall and handcuffed. The hospital staff tried to talk down Payne, but he didn't seem to care. Wubbels was detained for 20 minutes before being released without any charges. The incident was caught on Payne's body camera and the hospital cameras, which were later released to the public thanks to Wubbels' lawyer Kara J. Porter. On September 13th, Salt Lake City Mayor Jackie Biskupski launched an internal affairs investigation, and it was found that Payne violated several department policies during his interaction with Wubbels. The city's independent police civilian review board also found that the officer violated department policies. According to Mayor Biskupski, this incident is a troubling setback, as there had been efforts going on to get the police to increase the use of de-escalation techniques. Police Chief Mike Brown took swift action and fired Payne on October 10th. He also issued a statement saying, "I want to be clear, we take this very seriously," he said.
I want to be very clear. We take this very seriously.
Within 24 hours of this incident, the Salt Lake City Police Department took steps to ensure this will never happen again. Wubbels won $500,000 in settlement for being the victim of this whole incident. Not only that, but she became a champion for nurses and used a portion of the settlement money she received to help other victims get body camera footage of incidents involving them. We all deserve to know the truth, and the truth comes when you see the actual raw footage, and that's what happened in my case, Wubbels said. No matter how truthful I was in telling my story, it was nothing compared to what people saw and the visceral reaction people experienced when watching the footage of the experience that I went through. She also stated that she will make a donation to the Utah Nurses Association and help spearhead the End Nurse Abuse campaign by the American Nurses Association. This troubling case of racial profiling happened when an African-American couple, along with their children, were stopped by police officers over a shoplifting complaint. The incident was caught on video by a bystander and has since gone viral on social media, sparking outrage across the country. According to reports in May of 2019, a manager at a Family Dollar store alerted the police to a possible shoplifting incident and said that the people who did it were getting into a car. The parents were unaware that their 4-year-old daughter, Island Drake, had taken a doll without paying for it. Police reports say that they were tipped off to the theft by store employees and found the family's car a mile from the store. What happened next is truly shocking. Video footage shows officers yelling at the parents, Drayvon Ames and Aisha Harper, who were accompanied by their 2 children. In the heart-wrenching footage, one of the officers, Christopher Meyer, can be heard saying that he would put a cap on Mr. Ames's head.
Hey! Whoa, sir, come down!
The officer continues to threaten Mr. Ames, and as he exits the vehicle, presses him against the pavement and handcuffs him, then pushes him against a police vehicle. But the most disturbing part of the video is when another officer points his firearm towards the car as the couple's 4-year-old daughter exits from the back seat, followed by a pregnant Miss Harper, who was carrying her 1-year-old daughter. An officer yells at her to put the child on the ground and tries to grab her arm. The police stated that the parents were slow to comply, yelling at officers and making movements that appeared as if they might have been reaching for weapons. But the couple has disputed this account, stating one of the officers pushed Mr. Ames's head onto the hot pavement, threw him against the car, kicked him in the leg so hard that he collapsed, and punched him in the back even though he was obeying their orders. The video of this incident has caused a lot of outrage and led to protests in Phoenix and all around the country. Many people are calling for justice and accountability for the officers involved. Their calls were finally answered when the Phoenix Police Department later announced that they have fired Christopher Meyer. The decision was made by Chief Jerry Williams, who said that Meyer's actions caused adverse effects on both the Phoenix Police Department and our community. A second officer involved in the same incident was given a written reprimand. Chief Williams has been quoted as saying that our officers' behavior was unacceptable. I expect them to be respectful, professional, and compassionate in every situation and every encounter. The Disciplinary Review Board recommended that Officer Meyer receive a 6-week unpaid suspension. According to the chief, she considered all the facts and met with the officer before notifying him about his termination. Aisha Harper and Drayvon Ames filed a $10 million civil rights lawsuit over this traumatizing incident. "There's nothing that justifies what happened to us," Ames said. "No child should have to experience that. She hasn't been the same since," he said about his 4-year-old daughter. The Phoenix City Council approved a settlement sum of $475,000 for the abuses suffered by the couple. The police force is something we all rely on to protect us and help us when we're in need. But breaching the public's trust with incidents like these, unfortunately, happens all too often. Thankfully, though, steps are being taken by police departments to curb these incidents and promote de-escalation tactics. If you like this video, leave it a thumbs up and let us know your thoughts in the comments below.